The atmosphere around New England after this game feels complex because there is frustration mixed with a very real sense of progress. And that combination is impossible to ignore when you look closely at what unfolded on the field. From the opening drives, it was clear that the Patriots came in with a clear identity and a willingness to lean into what they do best right now, which is using mobility, physicality, and controlled aggression to dictate the rhythm of the game. The early possessions told a story of intention, with the offense establishing the ground game as a statement rather than a fallback, forcing the opposing defense to respect every fake, every read option, and every potential quarterback keeper. That approach immediately changed the tone of the matchup and allowed New England to play on its own terms, something that has not always been consistent in recent weeks. Drake May's presence was central to that identity, not because of flawless execution through the air, but because of the authority he showed in managing situations where the margin for error was slim. His willingness to lower his shoulder, commit to the run, and absorb contact sent a message to both sidelines that he was fully invested in the outcome of the game. That kind of quarterback play does more than move the chains. It reshapes the mindset of the entire offense. When linemen see their quarterback fighting for extra yards, blocking assignments gain urgency, routes are run with more conviction, and the entire unit feeds off that energy. It becomes less about individual stats and more about collective execution, which is exactly what this Patriots offense needed in a high-intensity matchup. The running game thrived within that framework, and Trayvon Henderson stood out as a catalyst for momentum whenever the offense needed a spark. His ability to read blocks, cut decisively, and accelerate through tight lanes turned routine plays into explosive moments that lifted the stadium and forced defensive adjustments. These were not runs created purely by scheme, but by vision and confidence, the kind that only comes from a back who trusts both his instincts and the players in front of him. Each successful carry compounded the pressure on the defense, creating hesitation that opened the door for option looks and misdirection plays later in the drive. That cumulative effect is what made the Patriots so effective early, because even modest gains kept the offense ahead of schedule and in control of tempo. The offensive line deserves recognition for embracing a physical approach that matched the tone set by the quarterback and running backs. Their ability to generate push at the line of scrimmage and maintain leverage allowed the Patriots to sustain drives and keep the opposing offense on the sideline. Time of possession became a quiet advantage, wearing down defenders and creating opportunities for chunk plays as the game progressed. Even when passing plays did not result in completions, the protection often gave Drake May enough time to make safe decisions, throw the ball away, or turn potential losses into minimal gains with his legs. That discipline matters, especially in games where momentum can swing on a single mistake. Defensively, the Patriots showed early signs of cohesion and discipline, particularly in their ability to limit explosive plays and force longer drives. The first half was marked by solid communication, proper spacing and coverage, and a defensive front that held its ground against the run. Despite missing key contributors, the unit played with composure, rallying to the ball and making tackles that prevented small breakdowns from becoming major problems. Those early stops reinforced the complementary nature of the team's performance, as each defensive stand gave the offense another chance to dictate pace and control field position. What stood out defensively was the willingness of players to step into expanded roles and execute without hesitation. Depth was tested, and while imperfections were visible, the effort and awareness were evident in key situations. Third down defense, in particular, showed flashes of effectiveness, with defenders closing passing windows and forcing contested throws. That kind of execution reflects preparation and trust in the system, even when ideal personnel is not available. It also underscores the potential ceiling of the defense once the roster returns to full strength and rotations become more stable. Special teams quietly influence the flow of the game, contributing to favorable field position and minimizing mistakes that could have shifted momentum. While there is still room for improvement, especially in consistency, the unit avoided the kind of breakdowns that often undermine close contests. Every successful coverage, Every clean exchange and every controlled return added to the sense that the Patriots were playing with purpose across all phases. In tightly contested games, those details accumulate and often determine outcomes long before the final score is set. As the game progressed, the contrast between early control and later challenges became more apparent, but even within that shift, there were lessons worth acknowledging. The Patriots demonstrated that when execution aligns with identity, they can compete physically and mentally with strong opponents. The challenge now lies in sustaining that level of focus and discipline for a full 60 minutes, especially as adjustments are made on the other sideline. The first half showed a blueprint for success rooted in toughness, adaptability, and leadership, elements that are essential for any team with postseason aspirations. The emotional tone of the game also revealed something important about this roster, which is its growing resilience. Players responded to adversity without visible panic, regrouping after setbacks and continuing to fight for every yard. That mindset reflects a locker room that is buying into a long-term process rather than chasing short-term validation. It is a subtle but meaningful shift, especially for a team navigating development at key positions while still striving to remain competitive week after week. There is no denying that inconsistencies emerged, particularly as fatigue and adjustments began to test execution, but the foundation established early cannot be dismissed. The Patriots showed that they can impose their will through physical football, leverage athleticism at the quarterback position, and generate momentum through a diversified ground attack. Those elements form the backbone of a team that understands its strengths and is learning how to maximize them against varied competition. As the second half unfolded, the game began to reveal a different kind of test for New England, one that had less to do with raw effort and more to do with endurance, adjustment, and discipline under sustained pressure. The opposing offense found ways to counter the early defensive looks, stretching the field horizontally and forcing the Patriots to defend longer drives that gradually shifted momentum. This phase of the game exposed how thin the margin can be when assignments slip even slightly, because a single missed angle or late reaction was enough to turn manageable situations into extended possessions. Still, even as the pressure mounted, there were moments where individual resolve and situational awareness kept the Patriots within striking distance. Drake may continue to embody the competitive edge that defined the opening half, showing no hesitation in taking responsibility when plays broke down. Rather than forcing throws into tight windows, he relied on his mobility to extend drives and protect possession, a decision-making process that speaks to growing awareness rather than recklessness. Those scrambles were not always spectacular, but they were purposeful, often turning negative situations into modest gains that preserved field position. This kind of quarterback play does not always dominate highlight reels. It reflects a deeper understanding of game flow and risk management, qualities that become increasingly valuable as defenses tighten and opportunities narrow. The running game remained a stabilizing force even as defensive fronts adjusted, with Trayvon Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson providing complementary styles that kept the defense honest. Henderson's explosiveness continued to demand attention, while Stevenson's physical running added a grinding element that helped control tempo during critical stretches. Together, they offered balance and versatility, allowing the offense to pivot depending on down, distance, and defensive alignment. This dual approach prevented the game from slipping entirely out of reach, even when passing lanes became more congested and timing routes were disrupted by tighter coverage. Defensively, the challenge became maintaining structure as fatigue set in and adjustments unfolded. There were stretches where coverage integrity wavered, particularly against tight ends and crossing routes that exploited soft spots in zone assignments. These lapses were costly, extending drives and placing additional strain on a unit already compensating for missing contributors. Yet within those struggles, there were flashes of determination, including red zone stands and critical tackles that prevented situations from escalating further. Those moments underscored the importance of situational defense, where effort and focus can mitigate broader issues even when execution is not flawless. The coaching staff's responses during this phase of the game reflected an ongoing effort to balance aggression with control. Play calls shifted to emphasize ball security and clock management, aiming to stabilize momentum rather than chase explosive plays at all costs. This approach highlighted a broader strategic mindset, one that values sustainability over spectacle, especially in games where physical wear and emotional swings can quickly alter outcomes. The willingness to adapt, even when results were mixed, suggests a team still refining its identity rather than rigidly clinging to a single formula. Special teams continue to play a subtle but meaningful role, particularly in how field position influenced decision-making on both sides of the ball. Clean execution in coverage units prevented sudden swings, while controlled returns avoided unnecessary risks that could have compounded defensive fatigue. These details rarely dominate post-game discussions, yet they form the connective tissue of competitive performances, especially in tightly contested matchups where each possession carries heightened importance. Emotionally, the game became a test of composure as frustration threatened to creep in during pivotal moments. The Patriots' response, however, was marked by visible communication and mutual accountability, with players regrouping between series rather than disengaging. That collective demeanor matters, because it reflects a locker room still aligned around shared goals despite setbacks. Leadership emerged not only from the quarterback position, but from veterans and role players who reinforced focus and effort when momentum tilted away. The passing game, while inconsistent, offered glimpses of progression in timing and anticipation, particularly on shorter routes designed to counter aggressive coverage. These completions may not have shifted the narrative dramatically, but they demonstrated an understanding of how to adapt when deeper options are limited. Incremental gains through quick reads and decisive throws helped sustain drives and reinforce trust between the quarterback and his receivers, an element that will be critical as chemistry continues to develop. Defensive pressure remained sporadic but impactful when it arrived, disrupting rhythm and forcing hurried decisions that kept the game competitive. Even without consistent penetration, the effort to collapse pockets and contest throws reflected a commitment to fundamentals. Those pressures did not always result in turnovers, but they influenced play calling and prevented the opposing offense from operating entirely on its own terms. That kind of influence, though subtle, can shape the trajectory of a game over time. As the final stages approached, the cumulative effect of the game's demands became evident, with execution hinging on stamina and precision. The Patriots faced the reality that growth often reveals itself through adversity, and this matchup provided a clear illustration of both progress and remaining challenges. The ability to compete physically, adapt strategically, and maintain leadership under pressure points toward a team still defining its ceiling. Each snap added context to that evolution, offering lessons that extend beyond a single result and into the broader arc of a season, where consistency, health, and continued development will determine how this identity solidifies as the weeks continue to unfold and the demands only intensify with every upcoming challenge. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Your support helps us bring you the latest updates on the New England Patriots. And, of course, drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from Patriots fans. And what is already being whispered as one of the most shocking moves of the offseason, the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos have reportedly agreed on a blockbuster trade that could reshape both franchises. The rumor mill has been spinning nonstop ever since sources hinted that the Patriots have pulled off a move that would make even the savviest NFL insiders blink. The centerpiece of this alleged deal? Cornerback Patrick Surtain II, widely regarded as one of the league's premier young defensive talents, is said to be heading to New England. If true, this acquisition would give the Patriots a defensive edge that has been missing in recent seasons, and fans are already speculating how head coach Bill Belichick, or perhaps more intriguingly, newly energized leadership under Matt Patricia and the whispers around Coach VRABEL's involvement, could deploy Surtain to transform the Patriots' secondary. On the other side, The Broncos are reportedly in on the action, not just to make room for fresh faces, but also to strategically realign their roster in ways that could make Denver a sleeper threat next season. Though details are murky, insiders suggest that the Patriots may have offered draft capital or young prospects in exchange, making the deal mutually intriguing for both sides. What has fueled even more speculation is the name of Coach VRABEL entering the chatter. Rumors suggest that his strategic insight may have been the decisive factor in convincing both teams to make this bold move. Whether it was a late-night call or a subtle nudge behind the scenes, many believe VRABEL's fingerprints are all over this potential shakeup. Analysts are already debating how this could shift the balance of power in the AFC, with some suggesting that the Patriots' secondary could become the league's most talked-about unit next season. Fans and pundits alike are on edge, dissecting every rumor, every tweet, and every unconfirmed source to predict what this trade might mean. Social media has erupted with speculation, memes, and heated debates, with Patriots fans daring to dream and Broncos supporters trying to rationalize the shakeup. If this trade goes through as whispered, it will not only be a headline grabber, but a storyline that dominates NFL chatter well into the next season. For now, no official confirmations have emerged, but the buzz is undeniable. The Patriots and Broncos may have just set the stage for one of the most talked-about strategic maneuvers in recent NFL history, and all eyes are glued to how it might play out on the field, and off it, in the boardrooms where seasons can be won or lost before a single snap is taken. That's it for today's update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving fresh and exclusive Patriots news, make sure to subscribe and hit like. We always appreciate hearing your opinions in the comments. See you in the next one, Patriots Nation.